Don't fall.
When my father got off the airplane for his orientation at the Catholic University of America, he had never stepped foot on this campus before. He actually had no idea what the campus looked like. Now, mind you, this is before the internet and the subsequent ability to just go on Google Maps and tour the whole campus from the comfort of your couch. Anyway, he took his luggage and got into a cab. The cab driver asked him, "Where do you want to go and how do you want to get there?" "I'd like to go to the Catholic University of America." "How do you want to get there?" "I don't know, I've never been there before." "Wait, where do you want to go?" "The, Catholic University of America." "And how do you want to get there?" "I don't know." Don't worry, he knows I'm telling you this only because he's sitting in the audience today. Hi. Between the two of them, the cabbie and my father, they eventually figured it out. And he got here. And the rest, as someone once said, and then a bunch of other people also said, was history. So I should actually take you a second to tell you who I am, as if a second is enough time to adequately sum up someone's entire identity. My name is Bridget Sheaff. I'm graduating with a degree in drama, and more importantly, I'm a proud member of the class of 2014. Okay, formality's over. Now I could stand up here and do that cliche graduation speech thing. I had the time of my life. Don't stop believing. As we go on, we remember all the times we had together and other songs from the 80s and 90s. I could also quote a lot of Dr. Seuss at you, namely, "One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish." However, I'm one of those theater people, like I said. So I know one of the most effective ways to share information with people is through storytelling. Which doesn't mean I'm immune to cliche, but it does mean I can try and hide it with a narrative. So back to the story about my father. I think about the questions that cab driver asked him quite often. Now, that man has no idea he's being used as the vehicle in a graduation speech. Nor does he have any idea that he touched upon the profound by asking these questions. He was just doing his job. And so often, that is where we find the deepest truth about life, in the simplest of tasks. Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? That's just crying out to be someone's graduation speech. I mean, the answers to those questions help define our lives, livelihood, and happiness, right? Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? The question then is about the journey. We see journeys all the time in our literature and TV shows, and there's a certain formula for how these journeys take place, or as some people might call it, dramatic structure. We know that the yellow brick road leads to Oz. We know that you have to leave the Shire to get to Mordor. We supposedly read the Odyssey freshman year and understand that journey. But only supposedly. In these journeys, we know there should be obstacles and hardships. We know there should be encounters with new people. We know the voyage should end happily. Each journey seems to come with a series of shoulds. In reality, where we live, these shoulds do not exist. And if we try to define our lives by where we should go and how we should get there, we're bound to become incredibly frustrated with our trip. Rather, each journey consists in a series of choices. And that, actually, is the crux of that taxi driver's question. Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? The operative word, as it applies to people who are graduating today, suggests to us that the choices for our future lie directly in our hands. To quote a great fictional man, Albus Dumbledore, and an even greater woman, J.K. Rowling, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." And by choosing the Catholic University of America, you have set yourself on a path and started to define how you want to get where you are going. You chose a liberal arts education. You chose to learn how to learn. At one point in our careers here, we talked about how Aristotle said, "All men by nature desire to know." He probably didn't mean the constant checking of your Twitter feed, but the idea still stands. Because you had an intense desire to know and learn, you made a choice in line with that natural want. Other choices also align themselves with something greater. You chose to come to a Catholic university, or rather the Catholic University, meaning you chose to open yourself up to a life of faith that can serve as a compass on your route. You weren't the only person to make choices on your journey so far, and you won't be the only person to make choices from here on out. Your choices have been aided by your family, friends, teachers, and those individuals who've impacted the way you look at the world. And some of those people are sitting among us today. Today is the day to thank them for assisting you on your path. Now, I could stand here and thank those individuals who helped me get where I am today, but does that really encourage people to go say thank you? When you hear a speech that's like, thanks so much, Mom, Dad, brothers, sisters, professors, cats, does that make it more likely that you're going to thank those same people or mammals in your life? Or do you just sit there and think, wow, this chick is using this time for herself and her crazy cat support group? Instead, I challenge you to find ways to thank those teachers and learners yourself, because everyone is a teacher if you listen. So all I'm going to do is thank everyone really quickly on behalf of the class of 2014. Thank you. So I've asked a lot of questions in this speech, or rather the same question over and over again, which of course leads to another question. Now what? How do I get where I want to go? The answer lies with you, not in some graduation speech. It is about your choices, your hard work, your passion, your strength, your faith, your relationship with God and others, your struggles, your doubts, your hopes, your journey. All the advice I can give is moot. You have that power within you. In some graduation speeches, they might quote Marianne Williamson's famous "Our Deepest Fear" passage. This is one of those graduation speeches. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. See, the power of journeying lies in the conviction that we have the strength to get where we need to go, and maybe not where we think we want to go. And that comes from taking everything you learned and experienced at CUA and putting it towards your journey. When you combine all of the choices, all of the influences, all of the great advice you have heard in your 4 years here, you have an abundance of wisdom at your disposal. That's something you can hold on to for the road ahead. Now, a graduation speech's function could be to wrap things up, wind things down, summarize, review, and basically talk about how we're finishing something. But, and this is the cliche part of the speech, when we refer to this day as commencement, we understand that it is a beginning, the start of a journey. See, I'm tying things together, isn't that great? So as we go forward, we have to keep in mind those very simple questions that I have asked several times already, each with a slightly different inflection as an attempt to give variety. Where do I want to go? How do I want to get there? Congratulations, class of 2014. Enjoy your diplomas.
Yay, Bridget!